S'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît. Well, the chief of MONUSCO, that is the UN mission in DRC, has gone into M23-controlled region of Goma and has met the leadership of AFC M23. In this video, I'm going to tell you about that particular meeting, how long the chief is going to stay in Goma, as well as what they discussed in that first meeting where Bintou Keita met the leadership of AFC M23. In this video as well, I'm going to tell you about the Samidrc first withdrawal. Right now that the Samidrc has announced the last withdrawal from Sake and Goma, what does it mean to Eastern DRC and how are they conducting this final phase of their withdrawal? Well, this is Bonafide. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe and hit that notification button so that when I release something new on Eastern DRC, you get notified as soon as possible. Well, the head of the UN peacekeeping mission in DRC, MONUSCO, Bintou Keita, has made her first visit to Goma since the city fell to the militia earlier this year. You remember what happened in late January when the AFC M23 took the battle against the Samidrc and the FARDC forces, and there was Alendo and all other militia, and they fought these forces and they managed to capture Goma and later went on to capture Bukavu. So the chief of MONUSCO has gone into these rebel-controlled regions to go and have a meeting with the AFC M23. But one will ask, what does the UN have to discuss with what they purport to call rebels or the M23 AFC in Goma? Well, this three-day visit to meet the M23 representatives and the wider AFC alliance to which the M23 belongs has been reported that it will focus on the mission's core objectives, including civilian protections. And according to the words of Bintou Keita, the chief of MONUSCO, she said that I am here to express solidarity with the people of Goma and with MONUSCO staff. Your resilience is remarkable. Well, she said these words in Goma when meeting the leadership of the AFC M23, Corneille Nangaa, Bertrand Bisimwa, and other leadership of the AFC M23. These are the people who are at the helm of the AFC M23 right now. You understand that we have the M23 led by Bertrand Bisimwa, then we have the AFC, and now the entire alliance led by Corneille Nangaa. Now the M23 is not only a military wing, it has a political faction now called the AFC that is now running things in Goma and Bukavu. They have since installed their administrations in Goma and Bukavu, and they are running these two major cities in Eastern DRC just as if it was a government running these cities. And the meeting of the UN chief was very significant at this moment because in about 2 weeks, on 27th of June 2025, Bintou Keita, the leader of MONUSCO, has a scheduled briefing to the United Nations Security Council on the status of what is going on in Eastern DRC, because MONUSCO has been in Eastern DRC for the longest. In fact, this is the longest UN mission that has ever existed. We are talking about a mission that started right in 1999 up to right now, but it has faced a lot of criticism in Eastern DRC. Many are saying that MONUSCO is not helping because you cannot be in a particular country for decades without solving the problem. The problem in Eastern DRC is as critical as it was right in 1999, despite the presence of the UN peacekeepers in the country. And the criticism that MONUSCO has received has made the mission now to start withdrawing different parts of Eastern DRC. Specifically, from last year, MONUSCO withdrew from South Kivu, and we are seeing continued criticism of MONUSCO from different quarters that is making the mission to be incapable of solving the problems in Eastern DRC. That is the reason as to why the DRC has opted to use other forms of intervention in Eastern DRC, the Samidrc, the East Africa Regional Force, and was also opting to have a mission by the Central African states. But right now we know that is unclear because Rwanda is not a party to that, as well as the Central African states are not that powerful to go into Eastern DRC and bring the lasting peace that is needed in Eastern DRC. And speaking of the missions that have been in Eastern DRC, the Samidrc being the latest of those missions is now withdrawing from Eastern DRC just like the East African Regional Force withdrew from Eastern DRC. And the reason is because of the war that went down earlier this year, the end of January, where about 14 of the South African National Defense Forces troops lost their lives. And it was in agreement by all heads of states of SADC that there is a need for the withdrawal of the forces from Eastern DRC because as well, they were surrounded by the M23 in Goma and Sake, as well as it was important for this because the SADC leaders are saying that we need to give dialogue a chance, we need to give diplomacy a chance in Eastern DRC to solve the problem that is ongoing in Eastern DRC. They already started withdrawing from these bases, and from the 29th of April 2025, Phase 1 began, and that was focused on the equipment and other logistical assets. And now we are entering Phase 2 of that withdrawal from 12th of June, where it entails the repatriation of mission personnel along with other personal belongings and the remaining operational equipment. Now we are talking about troops that are based in Sake and Goma now are boarding these buses that you're seeing in your screen, and they are leaving Goma and Sake. That means right now that it is final. This is the final push of withdrawing from Eastern DRC. Samidrc is no longer going to be part of the mission there. The equipment have already gone. Right now we're talking about troops leaving their bases, going through Rwanda into Tanzania, and then the Tanzanian troops will continue the journey to Dar es Salaam, and the South African and Malawian troops will board planes and go to their respective countries. That is the first withdrawal that the Samidrc has announced. The SADC has also announced that it is leaving Eastern DRC, but is not completely leaving the case of Eastern DRC. They are saying that they will engage with the stakeholders, state and non-state stakeholders in this crisis in Eastern DRC through diplomatic measures to ensure that there is a lasting peace in Eastern DRC. Well, I will continue to keep you informed of the latest of what is happening in Eastern DRC. Keep it bona fide.